Welcome back to another therapy session here on the Phaithful Phanatics Show, guys. We are live here on a Tuesday morning on DSM-Media's Philadelphia YouTube and Twitter channels. If you guys are new to the channel, if you're watching over on Twitter, make sure to do us a favor and head on over to the YouTube channel specifically. It is the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up here on the screen with us. We still are unfortunately unable to see your comments on or from Twitter here on StreamYard. So if you do want to be interactive, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And help us out. We appreciate each and every one of you. I'm one half of your host this morning, Dylan Davis. To my left, my faithful co-host, Scotty. Another year, another disappointment when it comes to the 76ers and the postseason. No, the season is not officially over. Game 5 takes place tonight at Madison Square Garden. We're going to talk through it. We're going to recap Game 4. A lot of Joel Embiid discourse. A lot of Tyrese Maxey discourse. We're going to work through it all and kind of just figure out where our heads are at right now. But on the other hand, the Philadelphia Eagles absolutely, and Howie Roseman absolutely crushed the NFL draft. Yeah. Absolutely crushed it, Scotty. We're going to talk about that as well from day 2 on. Obviously, we already broke down the Quinyon Mitchell pick a little bit. Excited for that as well in the first round. But a lot to talk about. The Phillies got a sweep in San Diego against the Padres. They're one of 4 teams at 19 wins to start the year. They broke a record for most wins in the month of April for their franchise. But unfortunately, Sir Anthony Dominguez and the bullpen got in the way last night after an early lead out against the Angels in LA. But we got a lot to discuss here on a Tuesday morning, man. But how you feeling?
Man, it's you mentioned it, the drafts and then the Sixers. We can't have 2 things nice at one time. So this is what life is like as a Philly fan. Hey, Marshawn, we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see tonight. I'm not completely checked out, but I'm very, very close. You can see the stuff in my background. I'm not gonna rip it off the walls, so I don't have to dress up and paint my face blue and red every day. But that was a disgusting loss on Sunday. I'm still feeling the ailments or the discomfort from that loss on Sunday. It's interesting, TR's comment there. The Sixers are a disappointment, but not as bad as other years, in his opinion. And I'm curious why not as bad as other years, because this one, I don't know, man. There's something that feels really bad.
The only way for me that you can say it's not as bad as other years is how much stock you're putting into the Joel issues.
Right.
Like how much of an explanation or an excuse are we giving the leg, the Bell's palsy, all of that, and saying, you know what, if this wasn't the Joel Embiid, this would be a completely different series. But other than that, yeah, we are a 7 seed, but again, I don't know. Again,
I feel you.
It's 2 seed by 3 games, all because of the best player missing.
If you told us at the All-Star break that we would get the Knicks first round and then potentially the Pacers second round, regardless of seed, we would have taken that and we would have said we're going to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
And I know at the All-Star break, I can't remember exactly when the Embiid injury happened. I know that changes the perspective, but it's the Knicks, man. I'm not going to backtrack on what I said at the beginning of this series. I think we are the more talented team, even with Joel at the status that he's at right now. I just simply think we're not executing. We're not playing hard enough. Once again, man, and we can dig into Game 4 now, right? But just some overall hindsights on this series, man. The Knicks just want it more. They want it more. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. Game 2 was a travesty, and if you win that game, if we end up getting the calls that we're supposed to at the end of that game, maybe you win it. It's 2-2 right now. The perspective is just completely different. But the truth is, when you look back at Game 2, you think 5-point lead with 57 seconds left or something, and somehow, some way, the controllables were not controlled, and you lost that game, regardless of refs, everything. Somehow you blew a 5-point lead in 57 seconds. I get it. They received assistance from the refs, but that is still just it is. It's why didn't Nick Nurse call that timeout at the end of that game, right when Jalen Brunson hits the 3? Yeah. Why not? Right. Why doesn't different guys get looks? I don't know. There's blame to go all around. I'm not pointing at Nick Nurse.
A lot
I'm
of
not
blame to
pointing
go
at
around,
Embiid,
man.
Maxey. It goes all around this team right now. It goes all around the organization. It goes all the way even to the fans.
Yeah.
Can I blame them for not, going to this game and selling it out as Sixers fans? Not really, but at the same time, as Philly fans, we're supposed to be diehards. We're supposed to be the most loyal fans in the world, right? We're supposed to be this diehard fan base, and we let New York Knicks overrun our arena. I'm not speaking from outside the box there. I allowed it too. I didn't go.
Yeah, I wasn't there. Like,
you know what I
get
mean?
it,
Like, I'm
man,
not
but
dissing anybody else that didn't go.
really,
I didn't
it
either.
really was an embarrassing scene, both games. But game 3, you ignore it because you send them packing. You send them home quiet. They don't have much to say after that performance. Game 4, when that happens, they're in our concourse, bro, by the hundreds, by the thousands, grouped together, chanting "fuck Embiid" in his house, giving MVP chants to other players.
You're getting
Chanting
Deuce
"fuck the
McBride
Sixers" in
chants.
our house. That's absolutely embarrassing. We'll get into the Joel comments afterwards. People had a problem with it. No idea how the fuck you have a problem with it. Excuse my language again, but like, are the fans to blame? Absolutely not. But I don't think that's what he was saying. I don't think that's what Joel was saying at all.
I don't
like, people
either.
were like, he's making it. No, he wasn't.
He's saying exactly what we would say.
Exactly. So
like,
it was embarrassing all around. But let's start with that, right? I mean, there's a lot to go around, right? I think I don't think that Nick Nurse coached his best game in game 4, or in game 4. I think he's kind of shrunk the depth down to a 6-man rotation in game 4. And it's something we talked about all week long, where what made this team special throughout the course of the year was the depth. And I understand playoff minutes get lengthened for the starters, but you have to find a way not to shrink it to 6. Campaign only played 13 minutes. D'Anthony Melton coming back, played 7 minutes, was bad. No one else gets a look. So I don't think Nick Nurse was a problem, but I don't think he coached his best game.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What would you grade Nick Nurse so far in this series? Like, do you think that he's out coaching Tom Thibodeau? Or would you say that they're equal, or do you think Tibbs is out coaching him? Tibbs is a good coach. Like, he has this reputation. He's a good coach.
I think he's about as equal as you could get, because I think there's been moments where Nick has coached the pants off of Tibbs, and I think there's been moments where Tibbs has gotten the better of Nick. And
and we have led most of it.
But to Martian's point, man, when you watch the little stuff, the effort plays, the loose balls, the rebounds. I mean, my God, OG Anunoby and Josh Hart are no taller than 6'8" or 6'9" between the two of them, and they both had 13+ rebounds in the same game. That's effort. That's inexcusable. So that's not on Nick Nurse. That's on the players. But at the same time, but then again, this climbs up the ladder to Daryl Morey and management. And I'm going to get to this point as my biggest point in all of the series, and the same story every year, the non-Joel Embiid minutes, the minutes without him. The problem in game 4 was Paul Reed was so goddamn unplayable because there's probably no one else. Yeah, we could say Mo Bamba, but we don't know how that's going to work out either. And he had to play Joel all 24 minutes of the second half, which then in turn absolutely crushed Joel Embiid. So let's get to that. Let's get to the biggest story of it all, because it is the common denominator every year. You and I talked about it after game 7 against Boston last season. It is tiresome. Every year, we've gone through 3 head coaches. We've gone through multiple running mates, Ben, Harden, now Maxey. We've gone through multiple different rotation pieces, different shooters, everything. Season after season, injury after injury. It is tiresome. But then you look at what happens with them versus without them, and you go, how is that the person we're supposed to blame? The bottom line is they are a plus 34, and I know I am nowhere near the first person to read this stat out on a podcast, on television, on radio, on anything over the last 2 days. But the bottom goddamn line is they're a plus 34 in 160+ minutes with him, and minus 37 in like 30 minutes without him.
Yeah.
That's on management. That's on Daryl Morey. That's on Paul Reed himself. Get him the hell out of this city come this offseason.
Yeah, man. None of his money's guaranteed. Clear the house. Clear the house, man. I'm over it, dude. The dude is so useless. Like I know we're going in right now. I try to be like nice and respectable, but like, god damn it, dude. Like, we obviously haven't even talked about Tobias, and there's just no point at this point.
No,
but like,
I mean that ship has
Paul
sailed.
Reed,
It's
man,
gone.
that is the underlying factor tonight. It's like, you guys are like playing hard as hell for this season. You're playing for your lives this season. You're playing for next season too, because you won't be here, man. Like, even Oubre, like I get it. Oubre last 2 games has been pretty solid, especially offensively. He's been better. But once again, when you just feel the vibe of the team in this moment once again, and nobody's just willing to step up and grab a fucking rebound, it just tells me everybody's got to go. To
this point from TR, and he said he went back, and I know exactly what he's talking about. Like, it's very simple, because I've said it before. Well, like, you're 7'2", you're the biggest player on the floor. Go grab a rebound. The problem is when he's down there taking care of his guy, but then there's 2 or 3 more Knicks collapsed around his lower body, all jumping for a board, because Tobias doesn't box out and Lowry doesn't box out and this person doesn't box out. Well, now there's 3 Knicks to just Joel's 1, and something's getting tipped here, deflected here, and we don't come away with the rebound. And it was the same story again. They couldn't knock down enough shots. They scored 92 points. What did we say? You're not going to beat the Knicks playing that style of basketball. But I think this has been the biggest takeaway from people. And here's what I'll say, man. Don't get me wrong. It has churned in my mind the last 2 to 3 years. Because, at what point do you say what's going to change? But the problem is, we watch life without him.
There's no, and it's like there's nothing greener, man.
There's nothing you are going to do. There's no trade you're going to make. There are no draft picks you're going to acquire and execute correctly for studs in the next 3 to 4 to 5 years that are going to push you closer to a championship without Joel Embiid. It's not possible.
You're not getting it for him. Why would anybody trade something that we would want for Joel Embiid? Do you know what I mean by that? Like, he's an MVP candidate, but he is injury prone. So why would other teams give you the value that you want in return? It's just not going to be valuable enough. What you would get.
Scotty, think about it, man. What are we saying? What are we doing? Because you're not getting
starting over
players now. You're not getting stars for star, right? Like, that's not happening. So that's not pushing you closer. So then you go draft capital. Okay. Are we going to just? Are we guaranteed that these are top 3 to 5 picks every year? Are we going to nail and execute every pick? Are these rookies that come in at 19, 20 years old going to be ready in 2 years with Tyrese Maxey to get us to a championship?
Why would Tyrese Maxey stay here? Why would he sign back here?
If you trade Joel Embiid, all those free agents that we think about attracting to Philly, what one of them in the offseason with all this cap space is going to go, I'm going to go play there when they just traded the MVP away 2 years ago.
Like, I get we have Maxey's bird
without Joel Embiid right now, man.
If I'm Maxey, I'm not staying here if Joel's leaving. If you're trading Joel, what the fuck am
he's
I
up
here for? I just made an All-Star game.
That's not happening, bro.
Yeah, like,
so
to your point about Paul Reed, man, like, how Daryl Morey, he does have to be looked at here. Like, I know we were positive on the campaigns and the Buddy Hield,
but
could we use a Marcus Morris right now? Who's the other guy that Patrick Beverly even? I mean, at least he plays hard,
Andre Drummond. Now look,
Andre Drummond.
We can put the blame on the Bulls because they didn't pull the trigger on almost anybody. So what? They held pat or whatever. But like, man, I would have overpaid to have Andre Drummond right now. You have Andre Drummond, you're probably up 3-1 in this goddamn series right now. Because Joel's not fatigued, because Drummond can play and Drummond can rebound.
That's minimum. That's like minimum roster construction. Like, I look around the league and I look at the Celtics and I'm like, man, I would take fucking Luke Cornett over the backup centers that we have. Like, that's crazy. Literally. He's not good, but he's better than what we have. And
hold on, TR, man. TR. He's bad, bro. But let's look at the option that we have right now.
Just to get a rebound.
Andre Drummond was a hot commodity for Sixers fans at the deadline.
A rebound and
screening. From a hot commodity to complete fucking ass in 3 months. And Paul Reed's been this bad. I will take. Scotty just said.
Drummond had his best year with us. Yeah. He had his best numbers, like his most efficient numbers.
Do I think that Andre Drummond is a piece for the future? Like, this offseason, am I looking at him now?
No.
Probably not. But like, I'm saying at the deadline.
I do think if you go forward with Joel Embiid, like you do need to have a quality backup. Like I'm looking at and this is just an example, but something like this, like a Clint Capella, man, like somebody that can back him up. You spend a little bit more money for him, but it gives you some insurance to get by when he's gone. When he's out, man.
Saying, bro. Think about the names you're saying that we're talking about. Those are centers.
Yeah.
Those are 7 feet, 7'1", 7'2",
they rebound.
guys that can rebound, protect the rim. Our backup center that we decided to match the offer sheet from Utah with is 6'9".
Yeah.
He goes out there against Mitchell Robinson when he was playing and looks like he's Tobias Harris next to a goddamn 7-footer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can look across the court. Hartenstein. Is he really like Mitchell Robinson was the starter?
When Paul Reed came in the game, we had a 10-point lead after the first quarter. And I love how we're talking about the game 4 issues, but not. We're just kind of just talking about all the
because these issues are recurring. They've been here.
In game 4 specifically, we held a 10-point lead after the first quarter. Joel played the entire first quarter. I believe. Could be wrong. Believe he played the entire first.
Yeah.
Sits the start of the second. Isaiah freaking Hartenstein ripped off 6 straight points on little boy Paul Reed.
Floaters and shit, man. That shit is so annoying.
Bodied him. So yeah, I'm so far over it, bro.
Would you have given Bamba a look?
Ain't even there's games to be played, a game to be played, adjustments need to be made. Paul Reed can't see the floor. Joel Embiid damn sure can't play 48 minutes. You better I better see Mo Bamba at least for 2 minutes tonight.
Yeah. You go small ball.
What is
small ball better than Paul Reed? Like legitimate small ball, like an actual floor spacing small ball player.
TR, I hear you, bro. I'm not saying it's viable. You have to though. Because we already know the Paul Reed minutes.
Yeah.
So you have to at least see small ball. Sure, I'm with it as well, but you have to see something different. You cannot continue to give Paul Reed 7 to 8 minutes and hope Joel can stay conditioned late in the fourth.
I don't know if I'm the only guy in the Philly fan base that is clamoring for KJ Martin. Play him at the fucking center. I swear to God, he will get more rebounds than Paul Reed. I swear to God. He will be more of an enforcer, more of an impact on the game than Paul Reed. I swear. He has more athleticism. He has a better dog mentality, man. That's the thing, man. You're sitting at home watching game 4, bro. And I'm just watching these guys showboat all over our court. I'm watching these guys, point to the fans, putting up hand signals and shit.
Get an N1 and walk into our crowd because he was so comfortable with Knicks fans right there.
John Starks on the court. John Starks on the court side, bro. I'm having to watch this shit, and guys are just letting it happen. No hard fouls. I'm not asking you to go out and injure people. I'm not asking you to do that. But a hard foul, maybe Jalen Brunson goes to the rack and you give him a little shoulder shove and he goes to the ground. Have some dignity. That's my thing, man.
Hey, man, Joel kind of gave him a bump coming through the lane, and he didn't like it.
All eyes are on Joel right now.
Might have fired him up a little bit more, but whatever.
All eyes are on Joel right now, so we can't afford Joel to be that dirty or that hinge on the edge player right now because they're looking to get him kicked out.
Before we discuss game 5 and whatever.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, was Joel Embiid good enough in game 4?
Not in the fourth quarter.
No. Really, probably not even that close to good enough.
Yeah.
He was 7 for 19, I believe, from the floor. Most of his points did come from the free throw line in this one.
1 for 6 from the 3.
Yeah, took too many threes again, only knocked down 1 early. And was 1 point, 0 for 5 from the floor in the fourth quarter. That can't happen. It technically really cannot happen.
That can't happen. The biggest thing for me out of his numbers that bothers me is the turnovers, though. Those turnovers, man, they're momentum killers.
Yeah, I agree. But what else did you expect the outcome of him playing 24 straight minutes be? And
Yeah.
he's getting double teamed and triple teamed, and he's
Yeah.
the one fighting for rebounds and protect. Like, what did you expect max effort for 24 minutes from the dude that rushed back from these injuries because no one else can do their jobs? The funny thing is, Scotty, he was nowhere near good enough. He dropped like only 27 points, right? He averaged 34 this year. He's way under his average. They were still positive in the minutes he played. So in the tiny bit of time that he did not play in the first half, they got beat down by so much and blew a double-digit lead so quickly that it mattered that much to them.
Yeah. The game was lost in those moments, man.
Literally. Like they were plus with him on the floor in all of that time.
Yeah.
He played the entire first, third, and fourth quarters, and they lost the game because no one could do their job in 4 minutes in the second quarter.
And that's the thing. It's like everybody's just sitting around waiting for Joel to grab the rebounds. A lot of the time, man, Joel is the one at the point of attack. He's getting switched on the guards. He's having to guard them as they drive to the lane.
Going up
he
for
has
a block
to be
out
the
of
initial
position.
defender.
Yep.
How the hell is he supposed to go and box out the other three guys that are attacking the boards? Yep. Like, he's just there, and then he's getting collapsed on by three guys, and then the ball gets tipped around, and then we find out who wants the ball more. And it's OG Anunoby. It's Josh Hart. It's not Tobias Harris. It's not Kelly Oubre. It's not these guys wanting to get on the floor and get the ball. It's the other team. And that's the problem. Joel was not the greatest, but sometimes he's not going to be. I get it. The fourth quarter specifically is the problem with Joel for me, right? Part of it is his fault. Part of it isn't, right? You do have to give some of the blame, but even taking it another step, man, because I do think that Joel, when you look at Joel and what he's doing right now, where would the leg impact him most? It would be mobility. It would be jumping. It would be, in my opinion, rebounding, physicality, being able to bang in there with big bodies and move them out of the way to get the ball. I think that's going to be the hardest part for Joel with his injuries. I do. I think having him there as a rim protector, having him there as like a source of attention seeking on offense, taking in double teams, playmaking, being able to score the ball, that's what Joel is there for right now. We can't rely on him to get us 20 boards right now. And I know Joel in the past hasn't been like the greatest rebound ever, but he can have a 15 rebound game. He can have a 20 rebound game. He's shown that. When he really puts his attention on the boards, he just can't do it right now. And so to that point, I just need more from the other guys, man. Where is the IQ, the attention, man? Being in the right spot at the right time. It feels like the Knicks always are.
Where did we praised it for so long? Where did the Nico Batum, the Kyle Lowry, where did that
wouldn't even shoot last game? Nico Batum would not shoot the fucking ball.
I know. Nobody.
He would rather pass it to Anthony Melton with a back injury.
Like, bro, the Knicks missed 10 free throws as a team, and they still beat us by 5 because of how bad our offense was. That's crazy. And to this comment, I know he said it before, the sooner this happens, the sooner I'm no longer a 76ers fan. And I'm also very petty, and I'll still love Joel Embiid, but I will not be rooting for Joel to go get a ring because I'm just too petty to do that. But no, this does not make the Sixers any better. It makes them a lot worse. They are no closer to a ring. Miami cannot do it all they want. Bam Adebayo is the most bagless offensive center I've seen in a while. Yeah. Tyler Hero, I mean, cool. And Jaime Jaquez is a very nice young player. And I agree with you. If I had to watch Bam every night,
I feel that. The package is like whatever. It's like I'm just not giving a ring to the Miami Heat. Like, that's not happening.
Yeah.
If I'm trading Joel, he's going to the Western Conference. He's not going
I love it because we're about to get into the turning point here in a second. Look, am I going that far? Not just yet. But I do. The setup is there. The setup is there for one night for things to go their way. And that's tonight. So we can keep spinning our wheels and going back and forth on what went wrong and what we're going to do this all season. The bottom line is the season technically isn't over. And I believe only 5 teams, maybe 6 teams have ever come back down 3-1 in the NBA playoffs before. It is not the most likeliest things to happen. The bottom line is this. It's all about momentum for me. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And I know you pointed out before, it would be the most Sixers thing to win tonight and then get your hopes up and lose at home.
Back at home.
But all it says is this. You win tonight. This is the turning point for the New York Knicks, in my opinion. This is where they have to put the dog down. He's down and out. He's wounded. He's injured. The Knicks have to put the Sixers down tonight. Because if you don't, for my money, I don't care how many Knicks fans show up at the Wells Fargo Center on Thursday night. I don't care about the injury. I don't care about anything. I don't think that dude is allowing us to lose at home after all the talk this year, after all, or this week, after all of how Game 4 played out. None of it. So I don't think they're losing in 6. Then you get to 7, and the New York Knicks are pooping their pants. Because now they have to win it. The pressure is not on the Sixers to complete this comeback. It's on the Knicks not to be on the wrong side of history. So tonight, do I think they win tonight? Yeah, I'm probably going to say no, Martian Lynch. I feel it. But this is the turning point for me. I'm going to be sitting there rooting my ass off. You do it tonight, and there's a new series coming back to Philadelphia. That's the bottom line.
I do feel you, man. I think there's several ways we could look at this Game 5, and there's 2 options for the Sixers tonight. You can come down and lay down, similar to what you did in Game 7 last year against the Boston Celtics, or you can come out and show that you are different, right? I was looking for it in Games 3 and 4. That was kind of for me, right? Game 4, I needed us to win that game for my confidence, but if you come out and you play hard tonight, if you show that you're different from Game 4, if you look a little bit more like Game 3, maybe that confidence comes back, man. And that's kind of your point. I'm sensing there is that if you can get things right tonight, maybe you can get things right going forward. And that is what it comes down to. It's all momentum. It's all one game at a time. If they do win tonight, the pressure does shift to the New York Knicks, but it's so tough for me, man. Because
it's just completely
believing,
not likely. That's the problem.
I was fully believing after coming out of Game 3, right? Fully in. I'm like, yeah, the Sixers are coming back. This shit, they figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
I get to Game 4 on Sunday before the game, and I just feel this weird feeling in my stomach. I just feel like a bad feeling. I don't know. Maybe I'm pessimistic. I call myself optimistic, but maybe I am pessimistic. I feel that bad feeling, and then the Sixers fulfill it. And they do it in the most Sixers way. Even Tyrese Maxey in this game, my knight in shining armor, the sunshine of my days, misses the clutchest shots in the biggest moments of the game to kill momentum and really kill our chances at getting this W, man.
We got I don't know, man. He comes down 100 miles an hour and dribbles off his own leg, and it goes back.
Dribbles off his own leg. He gets no whistle, man. That was demoralizing for me. Yeah. So I just can't help but shake this feeling that the Sixers are gonna Sixer, man, and I hate it. I hate having that feeling right now. Because I want to believe that they'll come out tonight, win this game, and maybe if they do come out tonight, if Joel comes out with that same type of attitude, a little bit less edgy, right, a little bit less of the extra stuff, but a lot more like Game 3. If Maxey comes out, he's looking confident, knocking shot. I mean, yeah, I'll be confident again, right? It's game by game. We'll be back, but man, that Game 4 just looks so typical, man. It looks so familiar. Yeah. And it really disturbed me. It really knocked me off my rocker.
You got my head spinning here, and I don't want to get negative. I don't want to spin back.
I know.
Direction here, but I'm going for 1 second, right? Because there's lots of talk about it. Martian and TR were commenting about it, and just about change. And we discussed it, Scotty. There is no change in sight that makes them even remotely better without him.
Yeah,
we already see what 4 minutes is like without him. What the hell are we going to do for a season or more without him? My question is this, though. I'm sitting here wondering, okay, if they can win tonight, how's that momentum move forward? But it's not just if they lose tonight and the season ends. They go out and, the Knicks are scrappy, tough defensively. They beat us 98-95. Season's over, okay?
Yeah.
What if they lay down? And what if he's mopey?
I know.
And what if the body language sucks and
Yeah.
he's inefficient again?
Yeah.
What do we do? That's where I get more frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't get frustrated
How
when he's
you
missing.
lose.
I get frustrated when he gets pouty.
Yeah.
And
You
right
come down
now,
and lay down tonight.
whether it's likely or not, the team needs you, bro.
Yeah.
City needs you, bro.
Brother.
So you cannot show up and just lay down because you feel like, someone's let you down, the fan base, the bull, whatever. You have to show up tonight. And if you go out, on your swords and Joel Embiid gives you 33 and they lose, whatever. But if they lay down and it's led by his example of mopiness,
15 points and 8 rebounds, 5 for 18 in 38 minutes type of Joel Embiid, like Game 7 against Boston last year. Mopey ass Joel Embiid, like, yeah, the conversations are going to be. I think somebody else said it in the comments. They're going to be
that's a different conversation than play.
Yeah.
That's not a player type of thing. That is a
because I didn't see him like that in Game 4. To be clear, he didn't look mopey.
No. But I'm saying now that it's like officially you're down in this hole. You have to come back.
What if Joel scores 40 tonight and they still lose? What's the conversation? Like the same old, I guess. Like,
what can we do in the offseason?
Put around Joel Embiid, like we get Tobias off the books. Blah.
Yeah.
The thing that bothers me, man, and it is Daryl Morey. I know I feel like I've kind of been easy on Daryl Morey compared to like I saw Phil's name in the comments. Phil hates Daryl Morey. Phil's sorry, but beard of knowledge, right?
Yeah. Not a demon.
I don't hate Daryl Morey, but I do look at the Denver Nuggets, for example. They're just the glowing example because they have Jokic and they have these perfect complementary pieces. I was watching them play last night. Michael Porter Jr. is hitting like 4-point plays. He's dunking on people. Like Aaron Gordon grabs every board. He's a playmaker, like great defender. Like, how do you look at that roster construction and not think to build the roster that way? Maybe he just hasn't had access to do so.
Or maybe he's so delusional he thought Tobias Harris could produce like Michael Porter Jr. could.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and stop. So this offseason will be huge. I feel you. I don't want to look forward to the offseason just yet, but it is, you can feel it just creeping up on us, man. It's so annoying. But what can they do different tonight to change the tide, to get the momentum flowing back in our direction? Like, what specifically can they do aside from Embiid being better simply, right? What else can they do?
They have to, what I'm about to say is so like funny because if you really think about it, like what is 76ers basketball? If you think about it. But like this year, right, when Joel played and they had the role pieces around him, they need to get back to 76ers basketball. And what that is ball movement, is shooting well from deep as a team, and feeding off of that. Because again, how did they win Game 4? Look, you can, or Game 3, and you can, and Joel dropped 50. I get it, but like you can do whatever you want to Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
If the Sixers are shooting 27% as a team from 3.
Yeah.
You can make him catch the ball out beyond the 3-point line because there's 3 bodies targeted on him. You can do a lot to make him uncomfortable and make the Sixers offense uncomfortable. If the Sixers are hitting threes, which is something they did quite often as a team this year, that changes how the offense can play from inside out and vice versa with Joel tonight. It opens up things for Maxey at the top of the key if they can't double and triple team Joel every touch. So that's, to me, like, basically my point, Scotty, is they have to try to run the Knicks out of the gym. And it's what you did in Game 3. You have to score 115 plus points to win at least 112 to beat this team.
Yeah. And I think, to your point, just about passing, moving the ball, I think the other side of that as well, there's a balance to it, because there were some points in the last game where they made the extra pass, if that makes sense, and it got you into a worse looking 3-point attempt, right? And the guy that comes to mind is Nicholas Batum, but it goes for all these guys, and maybe not Tobias. Maybe Tobias like tone it down a little bit with like the 3-point shots, like from 5 feet behind the 3-point line. You're not that guy. Like, please stop. Other than him, like everybody else needs to have the green light. Yeah, he did try to pull up like that, man. He
quickly.
Bro,
he
don't need to like harp on him.
Seconds in the shot clock.
That man is like the biggest momentum killer that I have ever experienced, like in my viewing, my sports viewing life.
Listen, I know we were talking about like what needs to go right, but just a quick side joke here. Like, my favorite thing that he's starting to do now too, to just really get you, is he's working a little hard under the boards, right? The best is when he grabs an offensive rebound and just blows a look at the rim.
Oh, okay. So, the putback. I was just talking about him not being able to actually grab the ball.
No, that's a good one too. But he'll get a board.
I know what you mean.
He's done it a couple times, last couple games. Go up strong. Hits the hits the side of the rim. And every time the Knicks come down and hit a shot.
Yep, exactly. And I almost find myself feeling bad for him. And then I remember like the last 6 years of my life. And I can't feel bad for this guy. He's so annoying. Like just the moment. There was one point in the game where the ball bounced right off the rim to him. He could have got an offensive rebound. Or maybe it was a defensive rebound, actually. And he just fumbles it out of bounds, right? He looks at it, and Paul Reed goes after it. That's what it was. The ball was bouncing. It was about to go out of bounds. Tobias is right there. He looks at the ball, but Paul Reed comes from farther away, attempts to save the ball, and goes out of bounds with the ball. At least Paul Reed fucking tried. Like, that's what I'm talking about, man. Josh Hart will get on the floor. Josh Hart will play hard as hell. Those guys get on my nerves, but they play hard, man. That's one thing I will give the Knicks credit for. Like, I know we've talked a lot of shit on them. They work really hard. And
if
right
the season does sadly come to an end tonight, we used to do a thing, and we'll bring it back this summer, but we used to do a thing called Would You Rather Wednesdays. And I believe, I could be wrong, we did a Tobias Harris edition. I might have to go back and delete that off of YouTube so no one can ever see it, because I would love to go do a new one this season, except just expand it to a bunch of mid-average role players we would have never even put in the same tier before and see where we're at now. Because, dude, before the season started, if I said, hey, Scotty, Josh Hart or Tobias Harris, we would have said, stop, man. Josh Hart's a nice role player, but Tobias Harris could still get you this, and that. I would take Josh Hart a fucking 1,000 times over.
Every time.
Tobias Harris. Every time. The 4-year player from Villanova who shot 31% from deep this year. I would take him every day of the week over number 12. Man. So I would love to go back to lighten the mood and see see who we'd rather.
I'm just going through I'm just looking through the list of just the top scorers in the playoffs. Like Miles McBride. I'd probably take Deuce McBride over Tobias Harris. Like he can hit a 3-point shot and defend. Listen, I mean, he can do something efficiently and good. He has a skill. Deuce McBride, dog. Like what?
Listen, well, because here's the thing, right? Like if you just take the name value before, right? Like if you're not a diehard Sixers fan, if you just take the name value, you'd be like, well, dude, what are you talking about, right? Miles McBride has impacted 2 games in this series.
He's had more chance by the crowd than Tobias Harris.
Yeah, in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia.
He's got induced chance in Philadelphia. And Tobias is getting booed. That's how far we've swung in the wrong direction. But all right. I did not mean to take us down this rabbit hole.
I know.
I just had to laugh at something because I don't know. I'm going to be sitting here waiting for, what do they play? 7:30 tip again instead of they got to make me wait.
Are we good for Sixers pregame today? Because I do think we should come back later and see how we feel at that time. Like I'm going to have a different feeling in my gut than I do right now, right? I'm not yet into
down.
game mode yet, right?
Yeah, I'm down because, like you said, it's not even a feeling in your gut, and I don't want to call it homerish, but it's like, man, I get on tonight, and I'm going to talk myself into it 30 minutes before tip, and I'm going to go, fuck this team, fuck that city, fuck everything about them. Sixers are winning tonight, and the series is getting swapped. First of all, I'm going to tell you this right now. I told you guys the story last week about my barbershop, okay? And that ratty fan base that also cuts hair in my barbershop. All right. I need one. And the next appointment is Thursday at 11 at 1:30. Okay. I'm praying to God there's a game 6 Thursday night, because if there's not, I got to walk in there either with my head tucked between my knees or held high and shake someone's hand I don't really want to shake. So, yeah.
To get gentlemen swept by them is like the low of low. I would say that. Like losing in 6, it's not like significantly better, but it is better.
Here's the issue. Here's their points of emphasis when I was talking shit. And this is even before like we were matched up with New York. This is like
before they could see it.
Season.
Yeah.
They said that they don't want to hear about Joel's injury, because since he's come back, he's averaging 30 whatever a game. And, if he's playing, he's playing. I don't want to hear that you would have beat us because of this. It's true. Like, he is clearly fucking injured, but I get it, right? Like, I would feel the same way as an opponent. Like, if they had a dude come back and he was averaging 37 in the playoffs, I'd be like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, whatever. So that was their one thing. And then their other point of emphasis was kind of trashing our role players and building theirs up. And I laughed at it. And I said, who? The Villanova products in Hart and DiVincenzo? Fucking Precious Achua? Fucking, Miles McBride? Like, this is who you're propping up. And they laughed at me and I laughed at them. And oh, buddy, have they gotten the better of me through 4 games.
Yeah, man.
So I need a game 6 Thursday night to have any dignity walking into that place on Thursday afternoon, man.
I do. I feel you, man. I do think we could get a little bit of dignity back if we could at least take it 7. Like, once you get to game 7, anything goes. Like, you take what you get at that point. But show a little bit of pride tonight. Tonight is a dignity, a respect, a pride game for you guys. Please. Like, at the end of the day.
Please. I'm probably going to drink 18 beers before the game just to talk myself into the headspace I need to be in. Start calling all Knicks players pussies while I'm watching the game.
I've never used that word so much when I'm watching a game other than like this team, man.
Me too.
I can't stand them. I can't stand these rats are all around us, man. They're like it's an infestation. We got it, man. Like, I just, you know what it is? I'm sitting here like a little fair weather fan. I'm like, wait until football season, motherfucker. Like, you stupid little Giants fans, you little bitch ass motherfucker.
Just wait till Saquon posts 250-yard tutties on your head in New York, bitch. Yeah.
I need Jalen Hurts to bless us with something special against the Giants, man. But Jalen Brunson, dude. This guy's an Eagles fan. But why do they rub it in our faces so hard? Like, is it because they went to Nova?
Here's
like,
the other thing I've seen, like, and shout out to Mark Marcastelli, but like I've seen him and a couple other people talk about it, just how embarrassing the crowd was in Philly and letting them take over. And I think he had posted like the upcoming schedule at Citi Field with the Phillies Mets, and he's like, let's take over Citi Field, and it's just not the same thing at all. The Phillies, like, I know in previous years, even when the Phillies were making runs, the Mets still had our number in the regular season. The Phillies are big brother. The Phillies have World Series aspirations. The Mets are a fucking laughing stock. All right. So it's a midsummer regular season game compared to a game 4 of a 2-1 series playoff. It's not the same. Giants, Eagles, big brother, little brother.
Yeah, it's not the same.
We were still supposed to be big brother in this one.
That's the thing. They're surpassing us.
Yeah.
That's going to be the conversation going into next season, regardless of the way this finishes, is that the Knicks are bigger title contenders than the Philadelphia 76ers with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. That's where the combo will be, and I can't stand to hear it.
Exactly. But
So
before we
please
switch
don't let
gears
it
and get
happen.
into some Eagles draft talk, man, because
Yes,
again, as
sir.
I start out the show, Howie
Some
Roseman and the Eagles
positivity.
absolutely crushed this weekend. If you guys are watching live with us on the Twitter channel right now, do us a favor. Make sure to head on over to the YouTube channel specifically. It is in the link in our bio. Hit that subscribe button. And also it's the best spot where you can get your comments and questions pulled up, because if you are commenting on Twitter right now, I'm not sure if anyone has because I haven't checked, but we cannot see them on StreamYard still. So if you want to get your comments pulled up or get interactive, subscribe to the YouTube channel and post your comments on over there. But with that said, man, last Friday we already talked about the Eagles the first round pick at 22 when it comes to the corner out of Toledo in Q Mitchell, and just what a steal it was to arguably get a top 10 to 15 talent, arguably get the number one cornerback in this year's draft class. The Eagles had not taken a corner with a first-round pick since, I believe, Lito Shepherd back in 2000, 2001. And Howie Roseman had never spent a first-round pick on a cornerback. They changed things this year, and they go out and get what we hope to be an absolute stud, an absolute immediate impact type of player that can start across Darius Slay. And we headed into night two that night with our morning show, and we joked about it. We did. We started off the show. Scotty, what would you like to see tonight in night two from the Eagles? They had the picks number 50 and 53 in the second round. We joked.
I thought it wasn't possible.
I'd love to see Cooper DeJean, but he already went corner. He's already everyone knows he's already going to be a steal in round two. How'd he drop even into the second round?
I love that pick,
not
man.
high enough to go get him. It's not going to happen. What we'd like to
almost
see.
love it more than the first round
linebacker.
pick.
We also mentioned a very specific linebacker that might have had a father legacy name here in a Philadelphia Eagles green. But we said, it's too early for that. He's probably a day 3 guy. We'll see, right? Mr. Howie Roseman trades with a division rival in the Washington Commanders, moves up to 40, and goes out and gets a top 3 corner in this year's draft. Like, Hugh Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are 2 of the top 3 corners in the draft, however you want to rank them, however you want to slice them.
Yeah.
And the Eagles came away with both. Now, the thing about Cooper DeJean, Scotty, I'm starting him at safety. Day one, my secondary is Darius Slay and Q Mitchell on the outsides and CJ Gardner-Johnson and Cooper DeJean up at safety. That's what I'm doing. All the kid does is hunt balls, no Diddy. Okay? Gotcha, Martian. That's all he does, bro. He's an absolute ball hawk from the Hawkeyes. The kid's an absolute athletic machine. And you look at him, you see him, he's crying, he's hugging his mom. I mean, dude, he looks like he's 17. Like he looks like a baby face, and he's out here just taking dudes' hearts at the highest level. With one of the best defenses, backing one of the best defenses in Iowa last year. It has to be the steal of the draft, right? Like, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Adding
the
that
value
to the first round pick, to a team that already has a Super Bowl contending roster. Like, last year we sat here and we said, what, Scotty? Howie Roseman stole night one. Howie Roseman won the draft. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. Does this feel like that kind of blows it out of the water? And I'm not like sleeping on Jalen Carter by any stretch. Like, I still have very, very, very high hopes for Jalen Carter at DT. But Nolan Smith, I've kind of I'm not giving up, but I've backed off the Nolan Smith train a little bit, the way I thought he could impact year one. Backed off that. You're talking 2 potential day one impact starting pieces in the weakest spot of your team, basically, of your defense specifically, that can help transform you into the Super Bowl contender you want.
It's an interesting comparison. I think it's really close, honestly, because last year you had basically 2 first-round picks. Well, you did have 2 first-round picks. Literally, Nolan Smith was the 30th pick. So you had him and Jalen Carter, and then this year you get Cooper DeJean early in the second round, which you can argue the value is even better than Quinyon Mitchell, which the value for him at 22 was great. It was outstanding. So when you look at that, I can see the argument for it. We got to see how it plays out on the field. But I do think, you look at Cooper DeJean, I like your idea of putting him at safety. I think You can put him all over the field. Honestly, I think like he's more versatile than
Yeah.
like a Reed Blankenship, for example.
By
So
far.
I think you just move him, CGJ, wherever you like. Vic Fangio, do your thing. You can put these guys pretty much anywhere. But I love the pick, man. Like you said, we joked about it on Friday. We didn't really think it was going to happen. We didn't think that he would double dip. But it was the right move, man. You got a lot of aging vets, specifically your starters that are on their way out at least. Like Darius Slay's still a good player. Don't get me wrong, but 2-3 years he's going to be not a good player, right? And
Right.
James Bradbury, we saw what he was last year, so you had to upgrade at
Right.
least one of the
Right. And you
spots.
already
But
had the injury concerns with Avante Maddox. And
yeah, exactly. And Avante Maddox, now he's expendable.
yep.
Whether that's a good or a bad thing. The Jalen Hunt pick. How did you feel about that one? I think that was the one where everybody was like,
That
what
is
the
the
hell? But
absolute unknown to me. So
yeah,
it's funny, man. The Eagles actually did like the best thing for a guy like me, right? Because I joked with you about how I wasn't, as plugged into the draft this year as in recent years. Even though I watched like the most college football of my life this past season.
yeah.
And they somehow came away with 5 different draft picks of all dudes that I watched and liked over the course of the college football season.
Who are the
Like
five?
literally. So like the Jalen Hunt pick is the unknown to me. I know absolutely nothing about this kid. Was he the first ever pick out of Houston, Christian? Like, did I read
I
that?
mean, he had to be, right?
So I mean, it's a top 100 pick, man. It's a third round pick. They obviously are expecting him to have a role on this team, but to me, he's the guy that I just have to go back and just wait for kind of training camp and mini camps to open up and see where he slots and
Yeah,
fits and what he looks like. He's an outside linebacker. Is he an edge rusher? Is he a
right.
coverage line? Like I'm not
See what
hip at
Fangio
all.
does with him. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is interesting. I think the big thing too here, man, you look at these guys that they got, they're all hard-nosed guys. It brings a
Yeah.
little bit of toughness to the team. I mean, the kid from Michigan, right? The offensive guard you got in
Yeah.
the 5th round, Trevor
Yeah.
Keegan. Dog, right? We saw him
Yeah.
drinking. Like I know you drinking beers out in the cold weather, but I mean it's Michigan, dog. Like, it's cold up there, bro.
Yeah.
Drinking beers out in the cold with your shirt off after a championship win. But obviously play for Michigan. It's a highly touted school, so you're bringing pedigree, but you're also bringing a
Yeah.
mentality as well with it. I mean, you can go down the line. Anais Smith, Johnny Wilson, some of these guys that fell a little further than they probably
I
thought
love
they
the
would.
dude. If
Jeremy
Johnny
Trotter,
Wilson can
Jeremiah
find a
Trotter
way on this
Jr.
team, again, that's one of the kids. I said I watched a decent amount of Florida State, unfortunately, before oh god, Jordan Travis got hurt and then kind
Yeah,
of ruined their college football playoff hopes. But Johnny Wilson's a big-bodied receiver. I believe the issue I remember with him was his hands a little bit, but he's a freak athletically. He's big, he's long, and he's pretty quick for his size too. So I love that pick. I'll go with TR here. The Will Shipley pick is another guy I've seen a lot of
yeah,
out of Clemson this year, dude. Like to me, I know Kenny G's still here. I know he's a rookie. He's a little undersized, probably. I
yeah.
feel like he's almost a great complementary piece to Saquon Barkley. Now, not only are there injury concerns with Saquon, so to speak, you might miss a few. So, like, it is nice to fill that
Yeah,
hole a little bit. But I just think a change of pace back, smaller, can hit the hole, and he's a good pass
yeah.
catching
That's the biggest thing for
running
me
back
too,
out
man.
of the backfield in Shipley as well. And Saquon can do the same thing. So I think they're a little similar to me in the fact that they can do both out of the Eagles backfield for them. So you won't have to like alter too much in terms of
Yeah,
hiding and scheming who's on the
yeah,
field for what, when, like you had to with Swift and Gainwell last year, because everyone knew who was coming in for what, right? For passing downs, for pass protection, for running plays. So that was embarrassing. And then the last one, like we talked about, I mean, come on, man. Axeman Jr. is a bird, and he's going to sport the 54. I mean, how do I not even before he plays a snap, go out and get the jersey? How do
just
I not?
get the old school jersey.
Yeah,
It'll still do
yeah,
the same
yeah,
justice.
right.
Then if he
Like
turns into something great,
it's the
you have
legacy
the
pick.
jersey anyways.
It's the legacy pick, man.
Yeah,
And
it is.
maybe I'm sure there are going to be people out there that say you try to. There were a lot of Eagles beat writers and
Yeah.
other podcasters I saw throughout the year posting clips of Jeremiah Trotter Jr. at Clemson filling a gap, getting a sack, coming out with the axe swing and saying, I need to see him in midnight green this year. And now here he is in the 5th round. Like,
Yeah, that's the
this wasn't
thing.
a reach in the 3rd or 4th round.
You
This was
can
a
do
5th
legacy
round
picks
draft
in the
pick.
5th round. You can do
Yeah.
that. Just, off of field. Like, you can't do it in the 3rd round. That's a waste of resources. But the 5th round, take a shot in the dark. Take a guy that you know where he comes from. You know his
155,
pedigree.
man. I am A-okay with sending that pick at 155.
And I thought the biggest thing, when you see that pick be made, man, the biggest thing for me, and it's like it almost furthered my disgust with the Sixers, if it makes sense. And maybe that's where my gut feeling came from on Sunday. I don't know. Seeing the video with Jeff Lurie talking to Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and talking to him about his dad and talking to him about his mother and how he loves his family. And they're so happy to have him back, a part of the Eagles organization. And it's like, that's why the Eagles are consistent. That's why the Eagles are good. That's why they can always have a quick bounce back, a turnaround, because they have an owner that is just like us. Like, he cares about the city, cares about the team. And that's the difference between teams like the Phillies, teams like the Eagles, and then teams like the Sixers in this city, man.
Flyers,
And yeah. But just looking at Jeff Lurie, he was about to cry on the phone with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's how much he cares about it. That's how excited he was to make that pick. And they still did it in a smart way. They didn't jump the gun either, right? Like, they got him in a spot where still perceived as him somewhat falling a little bit.
Yeah.
So once again, managing resources.
And I just, what I love
for next year.
Man, he did, like, we always talk about, 3rd or 4th receivers on this team being an issue, backup running back being an issue, offensive line depth, and, building in the trenches and doing different things like that. And what I love about this year's draft from Howie is he did what was necessary. He did what I wanted, what many fans wanted. And I'm not saying that's always the smart thing, but, like, there are glaring holes in your secondary.
Yeah.
You cannot afford to take flyers on multiple corners in the middle rounds because you want to build in the trenches like you've had.
Yeah.
You added an offensive lineman in the mid rounds. You added 2 more linebackers in the middle of this draft. You added a potential backup running back in the middle of this draft. You added a couple big wide receivers that maybe one of them sticks and works at the back end of this draft. But you got the studs that you needed to start. So he went away from his game plan while also executing depth needs at the positions he loves.
Yeah.
And I love everything about it. Like, I know we kind of talked about it quickly. I'm praying, right? Because again, like you said, these are rookies. And we always talk about draft picks versus things that are proven, things that are unknown. And maybe one of them only works, one of them doesn't. Maybe both don't live up to the hype that we're thinking of. But these 2 dudes being drafted back-to-back in the 1st and 2nd round for the Eagles have the potential to, like, change. Like, I don't want to say the trajectory because, like, the mindset and, like, the Saquon ad, like, we're all thinking Super Bowl, right? But, like, they had the trajectory to change this franchise, like, for years to come, bro. Like, I know people, like, they're talking about the 2001 draft, Lido and Sheldon and the similarities there, and they were kind of the staple there. Like, do you legitimately got maybe the 2 best defensive backs in the entire draft?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
It's exciting, man. It's different. It's different from what we know with Howie, man. And it's just good to see him, kind of be willing to be innovative and change. And, you look back at those games against Drew Lock last season against what the fuck was the dude's name from the Commanders that got traded to Seattle? Can't even remember his name.
Taylor Heineke?
No, the other white quarterback, the other guy.
Sam Howell?
Sam Howell, yeah. Torched us last year. Yeah, I couldn't even remember his name. I was disgusted. But Howie sits back, he watches that, and he's like, yeah, well, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of seeing this. He's just,
to me, man, it's so unknown, and we're sitting here still, just shy of May. We have a long way to go till regular season, and then you have to see how things play out over the.
We got Mekhi Becton too, man. Signed him.
I know, like that's another piece, and if Jeff Stoutland says I can do something with that, I believe
Yeah.
Jeff Stoutland can do something with that, man. And
Yeah.
Mekhi Becton's not stepping in and starting for anyone right now. Like, that is a depth
Exactly. He
piece
gets to
that's going to
learn
get
from
to
Lane
work
Johnson.
and learn. And if we need him for a game or two, maybe Stoutland can plug him in and make it work, right? Like,
Yeah.
so they've done so much, man, this
Talented team,
offseason.
man.
And I'm just, you're picturing all the new faces in the secondary. And again, I just, now I can't wait to go out and watch like just a secondary of potential dog. Like, think about that. We've been missing dogs, right?
Yeah.
We've been soft.
Guys that go after the ball.
CJ Gardner-Johnson, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, all surrounded by a guy in Darius Slay who has the nickname Big Play Slay. Hasn't necessarily lived up to all of that here in terms of picks and big plays like that. Obviously had a pick 6 in week 1 last year, but yeah, it makes me feel a lot more comfortable with the back end of this defense. And they were one of the worst, if not the worst, in the league last year. So
yeah, it's arguable
go time, bro.
at the very least. Yeah,
it's go time.
It's funny, man. We're gonna have some like downtime until training camp in the summer. But yeah, this is exciting, man. And the thing is, we know this: the Eagles aren't done either. If there's anything else that they find of value out there, whether in free agency, undrafted rookies, whatever the case may be, they'll go out and get it. I am interested to see like do guys like James Bradbury get cut, before June. Avonte Maddox, does he make the team? Isaiah Rodgers, like these different guys that have talent. They've shown signs.
Isaiah Rodgers is basically a rookie for us too. That like we have to wait and see.
We don't know.
So they've gone out and done so much other stuff that we haven't even talked about this offseason so far. Like they went out and got a guy like a Zach Bond who had to start on the edge for the Saints at times last year. That maybe he sticks. We talk about pass catches all the time. We talked about the Johnny Wilson and the Smith pick from A&M. Like maybe one of those sticks. But guess what? He also went out and signed Devontae Parker, Paris Campbell, and CJ Uzomah, a pass catching tight end. If one of those guys, just one out of 3,
can contribute
between Goddard, Smitty, AJ, and Saquon, that's a win. So he's done everything in terms of getting the star power, getting the starters in the holes you needed, as well as bringing in a lot of depth, bro. There's going to be battles everywhere. From secondary, from corner, from wide receiver to offensive line. There's going to be battles everywhere across the board for depth spots this year for the Eagles. So
it's going to be good, man. It's good for the team, man, to develop each other. That's the thing with these corners too. They're not going to see a better wide receiver tandem than they're going to see in practice. That's for sure. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. The talent, you just keep adding talent. That's at the end of the day, right? We basically have had 2 first-round picks the last 2 seasons. So, and we're paying everybody that needs paid.
Correct.
So.
Correct. And think about that,
crazy.
Right? That's a fantastic point to kind of wrap up here. If Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell work out the way I'm hoping, right?
Yeah.
Even if Nolan Smith doesn't, but Jalen Carter remains a stud in the middle, you've nailed 3 out of 4 first-round draft picks in 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's if Nolan Smith is
out of 4. I mean, that's still great. I don't. That's the thing. Like Cooper DeJean, I almost feel like him falling gonna make him work harder, right? Like he should have been a first round pick.
That's money too, man. I don't know the difference, but I mean the difference from a top 25 pick to being number 40 changes his pockets a little bit.
Yeah,
so
for sure,
we'll see.
Guys with chips on their shoulders. I mean, Quinyon Mitchell fell from a top 12, top 13 pick to top 25, top 22 pick, right? So, once again, just bringing guys in with chip on their shoulders, guys that are going to want to work hard. Obviously, great team guys as well. That was a lot talked about Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell as well, just the top 2 picks there. But all of these guys, it's character and it's talent, and I think how he's finding the perfect balance between that with the last 2 drafts, quite honestly. So just keep it going, man. Hopefully these guys can turn out to give us some help this season.
Yeah, man. But to wrap up this Tuesday edition of the Phaithful Phanatics show, I know we haven't talked much Phillies, and of course, in the time that we haven't, they have gone on a ridiculous run. Alec Boehm has gone on a ridiculous run. Obviously, they did lose last night in game 1 of a 3-game set to the Angels. Sir Anthony Dominguez, something needs to be done there. But we will be getting back to talking Phillies very shortly because we're going to have a long summer of talking Phillies. And hey, 19, what are we now? 19-11 after last night's loss. They had I believe a franchise record 18 wins in the month of April. The Braves also lost last night, so the Phillies are still less than 3 games behind Atlanta. They're one of 4 teams chasing the 20 win mark still. So they're in a very good spot right now over the last 2 to 3 weeks compared to when they were when they were like our focal point of the show with not
That's
much
exactly
else
what I was
going
going to
on at
say.
the moment. They're struggling. They're inconsistent. We're trashing this. We're trashing that because we're annoyed. And then we got to focus on playoffs and the draft and some other stuff. And they're on fucking fire.
They go in a heater.
Hey, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes, man. But keep it up. They're back in action today, and the Sixers take on
Let's go, man.
New York Knicks in Game 5. We will be live for a pregame show tonight around 6:30 p.m. So if you are new to the channel, again, please make sure hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. It's the best spot to get your comments pulled up. For myself, for Scotty, have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Peace, everybody. Go